True, no vacation is perfect, but most of the time when I've been to Hawaii, they've been pretty close to perfect. But let me tell you the story of one of the times when I felt like, specifically me, I had trouble, and I'm calling this my vacation tribulations. And it started off early in the trip. I think it's our first full day there when we decided we're going to do the Kauai Backcountry Adventures in Lahui. What that is a tubing ride, and it's through an old irrigation ditch which were used before for sugar plantations. But now it's being used for tourists and locals to enjoy riding down. It's very exciting, it's beautiful, and it's very, very cold water. What had happened the night before is there was a huge storm, and even my uncle, who lives on the island, was a little bit worried about us because the runoff from the mountains was going to make this ride very rugged, or it could be rugged. In this case, though, there was only one rule they told us. Don't bunch up your tubes where the waterway would narrow, because doing that could lead to the tipping of the tubes. So that's the one thing we had to be careful of. We could control a little bit with our feet, but not that much. So of course you know what happens. It's me. I get stuck behind a bunch of people who have bunched up, and it's my tube that flips over. And all I can see after that is that I'm trapped underwater. And mind you, though, it's maybe only about 3 or 4 feet deep. It's not that bad. But it's just that fear of seeing something on top of you and not being able to reach the surface that just made me push up. And with flipping over somebody else's tube. Didn't realize who I flipped over at the time. So I struggled to get back off of my tube afterwards. And I didn't realize I flipped up this old Texan guy, this big guy. And in the meantime, when he flipped, his foot hit my brother in the head. Well, the guides were very shocked because they said they never have this kind of excitement here. And no one was injured, just my pride a little bit and a scratched up knee. But nonetheless, I still recommend going on that tubing. It was actually fun, and I doubt if anything will happen like happened to me this past time. So even though they gave us a nice snack and it was a very good tour, we decided on the way back we were going to go pick up some Ono, delicious hamburgers from Dwayne's Ono Burger. But when we got there, they said, "I'm sorry, we have a 2-hour wait. We've got a huge order that we have to put together." So imagine our loss. See those beautiful burgers? We lost that. So disappointed, we travel further on as we go back to where we're staying. We decide, let's find another place. And at that time, there weren't that many spots in between. But we knew there was a health food place. So we decided to get the health food, and we ordered from there. Nothing like the burgers. And of course, on the way out of the car, I dropped mine, and it was all over the floor of the car. Speaking of food, one night we got together with our families and ate in a restaurant called The Bull Shed. Now, it's known for its delicious steaks and seafood, and it's very close to the ocean. There really is no beach. Another thing is there is no air conditioning. They open the windows and the sea breezes cool off the building. I was so looking forward to this meal and the company. And once you know, I got the window seat. Score! I was so thrilled because I had the constant breeze and I could watch the turtles before sunset. But wouldn't you know, Rogue Wave came in and wet me and my meal. That's what I get for being so gleeful. We were taking an inter-island flight to Oahu, but before we checked in for the flight, we had to wait by the curb because the rental had to be turned in. For some reason, it took longer than expected to get that done. Now, being hungry, I opened a huge bag of chips that my auntie had given to us. Later on, we killed time, hours later, before we could check into the hotel. And as we waited in the middle of the lobby, I realized in horror that there were hundreds of cockroaches in the potato chip bag. They must have been hiding in the car. Anyways, they started pouring out onto the floor, so I tried to smash them, but sadly, that whole bag ended up in the trash bin. Sorry, hotel.